6 warning signs of spiritual abuse. Spiritual abuse is no idea. There are some very subtle signs that abuse can hide in the church, and we want to help you spot them. Go through the list and think about what you may notice around you, at your church, workplace, or community. This doesn't mean that you're in cult, that your church has become a cult. It may simply mean that you're experiencing effects of control and manipulation. Read more at 9 warning signs of spiritual abuse in church. Do you have to ask? If you have to ask whether the person is spiritually abusive, that may be your first sign. Think about Jesus here. Nobody asked that question about him. Nobody with any common sense. That is, if you're sitting under a pastor and you have a general sense of uneasiness about him, you need to explore this first, in your mind, then with God, your spouse, if you're married, and possibly a close confidant. Please keep a tight net around your thoughts, at least in the beginning. If you're right, it will become apparent to all, but if you're not, you do not want to damage a person's reputation or discourage others. Does he delegate? Abusive pastors are usually controllers. They like to micromanage their organization and their people. There is one way to do things, and it is this way. You will not find a lot of biblical liberty and taps into the diversity in Christ's body. Alternate opinions are not encouraged or celebrated. Does he clone leaders? Along with his tight control over how the church operates, you will also sense that only those who can do anything are lockstepping with him. Think Hitler here. Hitler believed in a superior way, and he granted promotion only to those who gave allegiance to him. You had to be trusted to carry out his policies. Using his methods, the spiritual abuser will test his candidates, usually with extra biblical guidelines, his guidelines. The people promoted within his system will think and act similarly to him. They're pawns who won't buck the system. His system. One of the instinctive things you'll find with his underlings is if you ask them a question they do not know the answers to, they will not be able to answer you. They will have to check with HQ before they can give you an answer. The Spirit of God and His Word are no longer leading the church. The leaders keep in step with another kind of spirit. Does he clone a culture? Because of his heavy-handed control and his clone replication of leaders, you will begin to notice a lack of diversity in your local church. They will create their language, mannerisms, and customs that will like the leader. When guests visit, they will notice how different it is from the rest of the Christ's body. Those inside the clone factory will take this as a compliment. Those outside the clone factory will think it as a cult. No sensible Christian should walk into any Christian church and believe it is a cult because of the unique language, mannerisms, or customs. Paul wrote to many churches teaching them how to think and behave. And you see a consistent pattern throughout church history of local church body life. Within diversity in all local churches, there is a similarity between those churches around the world. If a church is becoming something other than what anyone would typically expect from a New Testament local church, while making allowances for pneumatic, spirit-led diversity, there may be a danger. This problem will point back to tight-fisted control of the leader. How do you feel? If you're not around your pastor, are you less guarded? Are you free to be you? I am only talking about the fear of pastor syndrome, where insecure people are intimidated by authority figures or people who overly exalt their pastors, thinking is larger than life. One of the pastor's greatest strengths is his ability to build up another person while humanizing himself. Do you feel edified and free to be the person God is calling you to be? Or are you more cautious about your words and actions when you are around Him? Think about Hitler again. If I were around Hitler, I would guard my words and actions. If I were around Jesus, I would be relaxed and free to be myself. If I were not relaxed, He would lead me to that place. Psalm 23, 1-6. I know I can make a mistake around Jesus. I would be nervous about messing up around Hitler. The abusive pastor makes you more self-aware and self-conscious. You feel more constricted and less free, especially when around him. Is he humble? As he created an environment for personal growth and relationship building, servant leaders develop environments of grace where those they serve can grow and mature into the unique Christ-like people that God called them to be. The humility of the leader accomplishes this, not his pride. Your spiritual abuse question also applies to you. Can your spouse and your friends share their concerns with you? Whatever they may be, if they cannot share because of your immaturity, anger, or unwillingness to listen, you need to reconsider how you may be abusing them. A humble man or a woman will want to hear about areas of weakness because he's never about himself. The humble pastor welcomes grace-motivated, grace-concerned individuals who are seeking his best for God's glory. That kind of pastor is an active learner because he is willing to change, grow, and mature. He is good under shepherd.